you think of them as primitive, hunched over, grunting, dragging clubs through the dirt. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you have quietly assumed that every generation before you was a little more confused, a little more brutal, a little less capable. That human history is a straight line pointing upward. But what if that assumption is completely wrong? In 2003, archaeologists excavating Blombos Cave in South Africa pulled something out of the ground that did not belong in their timeline. A piece of ochre, etched with a precise geometric crosshatch pattern, deliberate, evenly spaced, made by a hand that understood symmetry. That object is now the oldest known example of abstract art. It is 73,000 years old. Archaeologist Christopher Henshelwood argued it was not decoration. It was evidence of symbolic thinking, the same cognitive machinery that lets you read these words right now. The brain behind those lines was, neurologically, identical to yours. So why do we keep imagining these people as lesser? For roughly 95% of human existence, people lived as hunter-gatherers. And the evidence suggests they were not struggling. They were not starving. Anthropologist Marshall Sahlins called them the original affluent society. Studies of modern foraging groups consistently show they met their nutritional needs in 3 to 5 hours of work per day. The rest was rest, music, storytelling, and deep social connection. The average person in an industrialized nation works far more, sleeps less, and reports dramatically lower daily satisfaction. You have a supercomputer in your pocket and you are statistically more chronically stressed than a human who lived 40,000 years ago. That is not an argument against civilization. It is a question worth sitting with. The bones tell the same story. Paleoanthropologist Timothy Ryan found that Paleolithic skeletons showed denser, stronger bones with far fewer signs of repetitive stress than modern collections. These were bodies perfectly matched to their daily lives because those lives had been shaped by millions of years of evolution. And then agriculture arrived. Bioarchaeologist Clark Spencer Larson spent his career analyzing skeletal remains at exactly the transition from foraging to farming. What he found was consistent across every continent. At the moment of agricultural adoption, average height dropped. Tooth decay exploded. Nutrient deficiencies carved themselves into bone. Infectious disease multiplied as people crowded into dense settlements with domesticated animals. Farming fed more people, but it made those people shorter, sicker, and more vulnerable than the foragers before them. This is not hidden. It is in the peer-reviewed literature. And yet the story that gets told in schools and museums still runs the old script. Agriculture was progress. Everything before it was just waiting. But the people who lived before your world was built were not waiting to become you. They were not failed drafts. They were fully realized human beings with complex language, rich social lives, and knowledge of the natural world so detailed that modern ecologists are still trying to document it. In Australia, Aboriginal astronomical knowledge embedded in oral traditions contains accurate records of coastlines that existed before sea levels rose more than 10,000 years ago. Researchers now use that knowledge to locate archaeological sites. That is not primitive. That is a different kind of advanced. Progress has never been a single straight line. It is a series of trade-offs. Agriculture gave us cities and eventually the entire connected world you live in. It also gave us infectious disease and class hierarchy. Technology gave you access to all of human knowledge. It also gave you sleep disruption and a chronic sense that you are never doing enough. Your ancestors made different trade-offs. Some of what they chose, your body and mind are still quietly longing for. Movement that varies. Sleep aligned with darkness. Social bonds that are few and deep rather than many and shallow. Tonight, when you close your eyes and your mind refuses to quiet, consider this. That restlessness has a history. It is a brain built for a world that no longer exists, trying to make sense of one that arrived too fast for evolution to follow. Your ancient ancestors almost never lay awake alone, wondering if they were enough. They slept surrounded by the people they loved, under a sky full of stars they knew by name, inside a world that made complete sense to them. The word for that is not primitive. The word for that is home.